Well, I know you have a chart, Michael, on storymastery.com that's incredibly helpful, and I guess we can have a link to it below the video here.
Yeah, I know right now I understand that on this video we're cutting to a picture of this chart, but also if you'd like your own to be able to download and you can kind of follow along with what we're talking about, underneath the video you'll see a link that goes to a page on my website, and then you can get your own PDF and download that for free. And then as you're listening to the rest of this, you can follow along the chart if you want to. It's one that I develop mostly for my lecturing. So when I'm talking to a group of participants, they can sort of follow along with this, you know, this through line or this timeline of a movie as we look at each of these 6 stages.
Can you give us an overview of the 6-stage plot structure? Just a quick synopsis.
Sure. Let me preface it by saying this is what it's sort of built on. I mean, my underlying philosophy of all storytelling, whether you're a novelist or screenwriter, movie maker, TV writer, whatever it might be, is that your primary goal as a storyteller must be to elicit emotion. You must create an emotional experience for the audience, if it's a movie or a play, or for the reader, if you're a screenwriter and you have to get it read so you can get the movie made, or if you're a novelist or whatever. So your primary goal has to be to create emotion. And this is a way to accomplish that goal. This is sort of the foundation of how you create that emotional experience for the audience or for the reader. And so these 6 stages are the 6 stages you're going to take your hero through and also the audience through as we go from the beginning of the story to the end. So the first of the 6 stages, what constitutes the first 10% of the story, is what I call the setup. That's simply where we introduce the hero, you create an emotional connection to that character, you show her living her everyday life. Then there's a turning point, the opportunity, something new happens, that takes us into the 2nd stage. That's the next 15% of the movie or the script. By the way, the percentages, if novelists are watching this, are a little more fluid. You don't have to stick quite as closely, but in scripts there are 1 or 2 pages on either side of these percentages pretty consistently. So the 2nd stage, the second 15% of the movie, is what I call a new situation. Your hero has now been presented with some event that takes them somewhere new. It might be geographically new or just some new circumstance where they have to figure out what's going on. Then something happens at the 1/4 mark, at the end of Act 1, that is going to move the character towards a specific visible goal. They are going to then declare and begin pursuing a specific finish line that they want to reach by the end of the story. My term for that is the outer motivation for the character, because it's outwardly visible and it's their desire. So it might be to stop a serial killer, it might be to win the love of the love interest in the movie, whatever. Now they begin pursuing that, so they go into Act 2, and the first half of Act 2 is stage 3. That's progress. They formulate a plan and the plan seems to work. And the obstacles start getting bigger and bigger until finally at the midpoint of that story, they're going to make a bigger commitment to the goal. Up to that point, they sort of had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Now they're going to reach what I call the point of no return. Something's going to happen that demands of them that they sort of put both feet in. So they're going to devote everything they can now to achieving the goal. They can't back up. They burn their bridges behind them, so to speak. So that moves them into stage 4, which is complications and higher stakes. Because the further into the story the character goes, the more is at stake, because the goal becomes more and more important to them, but also the harder it is to achieve the goal. The outside world is going to start closing in. The bad guy's going to discover that the hero is after him, or whatever it might be. So it gets tougher and tougher and tougher, until at the 3/4 mark, right at the end of Act 2, the hero is going to suffer or encounter a major setback. Something's going to happen that destroys seemingly any hope of achieving the goal. The plan is out the window. The worst possible thing that could happen happens. And so in response to that, the hero will do two things. First, the hero is going to retreat and try and go back to the life they were living at the beginning and give up on the goal. But that doesn't work. They're not satisfied, they're not fulfilled, or they just can't give up because somebody's life is at stake or whatever. So then they make one last all or nothing, do or die final push. And that's stage 5, which is the final push. It's putting everything on the line, giving every ounce of courage and energy they have until they reach the final turning point, the 5th turning point, and that's the climax. That's where everything gets resolved. That's where the hero faces the villain for the last time, or the hero wins the love of the love interest, and they decide they're going to live happily ever after, or whatever that climax might be. And then the 6th stage is what I call the aftermath, because we need to see the new life that this hero, that this character is going to live having completed this journey. And that's pretty much it. It's like a before and after picture. Starting out in an everyday life, going through this journey to accomplish this goal, and then in the end, seeing how their life has been transformed because they took this journey.